Three, four, five, six. Okay, hello, internet world. It's Norma Joe again. Okay, so, uh, right, where was I? Okay, so basically, this is where I started watching it from the beginning, or from the first part. My mom saw a little bit more than me when I was cleaning or whatever, but this is where I first started watching it before I went back and watched the whole thing over. So, basically, fucking Agrippina Jr., because that's his mom, their mom's name too, came in and she was just like, you know what you need? You need a son. He's like, yeah, I guess so. And she's like, you know what? Fuck me. Fuck me and I'll give you a son. Get me pregnant. I'll give you a motherfucking son. He's just like, and they try to play this off like he didn't want to do it, like he thought it was weird, and that she was the one pushing it on him and essentially trying to molest him. And there's this ongoing theme throughout this whole season where they try to make Caligula look like a fucking victim and that he really wasn't into any of this shit. He was just a product of all this abuse and molestation and blah blah. And it's like, fuck that, bitch. I mean, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't fucking know. Nobody knows. It was like 2,000 years ago. But it's just like, I wish they didn't do that angle. I wish they didn't try to make you feel bad for this bitch. Because it's like, it kind of takes away from it all. Like, I think it could have been so much more fun and exciting if you just embraced the fact that he has this reputation of being a motherfucker. Have him be a motherfucking bitch. Like, I told my friend, like, if you're a bitch, embrace being a bitch. Don't try to be like, no, I'm so sad and so, like, cornered and I'm so scared, and stuff like that. No, we don't want that. Well, maybe some people do, but I don't. I'm like, no, bitch. Just fucking stop making it seem like it's everybody else's fault. And then in the end, they didn't even show him doing that much bad shit. They honestly really tried to fucking sugarcoat this little bitch. And I'm like, I don't know anything about Caligula. I don't fucking know anything. But I know it wasn't like this. I don't know. My gut just tells me it wasn't like this. So, anyways, his sister comes in, Agrippina Jr. She's like, put a baby in me, bitch. We're gonna rule this town together. He's like, isn't that incest? Isn't that a sin or whatever? She's like, fuck that. Our, because we're both descendants of Caesar, that means like our genes will be twice as strong. I don't know if that's the way it works, but that's what she says. That's what she said. She's like, our baby will be fucking like extra strong because it'll be double Caesar instead of just half Caesar, and shit like that. And he's like, I don't know, man, I don't know. Like, they make it seem like he really doesn't want to do it and that his sister is like forcing herself on him. But eventually they fuck. And then he starts fucking all his sisters. He's just like, well, why not, He's trying to get any of them pregnant. And then apparently he eventually gets Drusilla, the pretty one, pregnant. The country queen, homecoming girl looking bitch, pregnant. And then, which is funny because at first I thought he couldn't have kids, like maybe the fever kind of sterilized him or whatever, but apparently he did get his sister pregnant because they said that they were having trouble getting pregnant. And I'm like, well, you know whose fault that is, you know. But, yeah, he got Drusilla pregnant, and if she didn't get pregnant by her husband, that's another thing. She was the only one that was married, so she could have got pregnant from her husband, and Caligula just claimed it as his own. But anyways, whatever. Then fucking Drusilla got the plague and died while she was pregnant, so the baby died too. And then they put her on the funeral pyre and burned her, and everybody was sad. And then they said, like, Caligula started losing his fucking mind because he was so fucking depressed. He couldn't stand it. And he just started doing all this crazy ass shit. Like, he was just like, everybody has to worship my sister. If I catch you not worshiping my sister, I'm gonna cut your head off, and shit like that. Even though they didn't show any of this, once again, they're kind of, I just recognize this pattern that they gloss over everything bad that he does, and they really try to make him look like a sad emo victim. I'm just not for it, But whatever, this is what they did in the show. So, I like looking at this cute guy, whoever he is, but just be a bitch, be a bad bitch. That would be funnier. Anyways, so, and then you know what else is funny is they keep showing this one scene over and over and over again. They reuse it like 1,000 times of him like leaning over this desk like this, and there's all this like vapor coming up. Like, I'm assuming it's just incense or whatever, because in a lot of these scenes they show them everybody burning incense, which makes sense because I know in the ancient world incense was like a super valuable thing, and like just to have like a good scent in your room, these disgusting ass like ancient times was like a big deal, Um, but in this one they have him just like the incense is there, and it's just like, but they make it look like he's like huffing it, like because he's like right above it. The incense like coming up like this over his face, and they made it look like he's like huffing, like he's like going into like a trance or something like that, like he's getting high. And then he's like, it's like slow motion. He's just like he's like high as fuck. I'm just like, okay, I know this is only incense. I mean, it's probably not a good idea to breathe in a ton of it. All that smoke is going into your lungs, but at the same time, I don't think it's gonna get you high. But maybe it's supposed to be opium. I don't know. Who the fuck knows what it is? Who the fuck knows? Anyways, so, where was I? Right, so Drusilla dies, Caligula's, like, gets all emo, and then apparently, like, everybody's, oh, and then he appointed Claudius at some point to be, like, his, like, right-hand man, basically, and, then, and the guy that they get to play Claudius looks so friendly and sweet. I was like, he's not the hottest guy in the world, but he's like the guy you want to drive you home. You know, like he just looks so sweet and friendly and nice, you know, like a little penguin. And anyways, so Caligula's like, all the Senate's trying to ask him all this shit, like, hey, can you feed the people? Can you do basic shit that a fucking emperor is supposed to do? And he's just like, fuck you! Fuck you, I'm too sad. Get my uncle to do it. My uncle will take care of everything. Whatever. I don't even fucking care. I'm just gonna go get high and drunk and cut myself. Cause fuck everybody. Nobody loves me. I don't love myself. Fuck everything. You know, I'm just gonna go cry in the corner and I'm gonna play some music really, really loud. You know. And then the Senate is just like, there's this one guy, he had this really funny face. He was just like, he's just like, okay, I don't know how to deal with that. And then that's what the scholars were saying too. The scholars were like, yeah, nobody knew how to deal with this shit because he was just so young and emo and, like, crazy. And all the other emperors were supposed to be very, like, poised and, like, you know, keep their emotions to themselves. And he didn't give a fuck. He was, like, extremely emotional and he would just yell at everybody and just go fucking crazy. And in the other show that I watched, the more academic one, they more talked about how Caligula just liked to piss people off. They had these guys talking who were like, yeah, we debunk all, like, the sexual shit. Like, we don't even give a fuck about the sex shit. But they're like, but he was an asshole. He was a dick. He liked to invite all these people to his house just so he could, like, creep on their wives and then be like, what you gonna do about it, bitch? And then he, like, you know, he appointed his horse to the Senate or something like that. Just everything he did, according to this other show, was just to piss everybody off. Just to be like, hey, motherfuckers, like, I can do anything I want. Fuck you. Take these middle fingers and shove it up your ass and all this shit, you know. Anyways, so where even was I? Like I said, this was only 4 episodes long, so they could have gone so much further with it, and they really didn't. But I'm trying to think, what happened? What else was interesting in this show? They didn't show any of that stuff. They didn't show him turning the palace into a brothel, even though the other show said, oh no, that's just a rumor, that's just a rumor. But they had their own agenda too, to dispel all the sexual shit. I'm sure there was some sexual shit going on, maybe not, like, movie worthy, but, like, I'm sure there was some. Why not, you know? But, okay, I'm trying to remember. Right, so after that, he's like, I'm getting a child no matter what. So he found this lady who was 8 months pregnant, and he married her on the beach, the same beach where he had the dream about himself being dead and all that shit, like a Goosebumps story. And he married this girl. I don't know what happened to her baby daddy, if he just took her away from the baby daddy, like, oh, she's mine now, I'm emperor, fuck you. Or if he died, or if he left her, I don't know what the fuck the story is, and they never go into it. But apparently he married some lady who's 8 months pregnant, because he's like, I'm gonna have a child no matter what. I don't give a fuck if it's mine. I'll just say it's mine. Nobody gives a fuck. You know? Which, kudos to him, because all these other emperors were, like, complaining about, like Commodus and stuff, that he was, like, complaining, like, oh, I'm never gonna have a son, I need a real son, I need a bitch that's gonna give me a son, and everything. I'm just like, why don't you just adopt a fucking orphan and just tell everybody it's yours? Who's gonna prove that it's not? Just get some random orphan and raise them and be like, yep, this is my child. And if anybody tries to say, no, that's not your child, that's some orphan you just grabbed off the street, just be like, shut the fuck up, you don't know what you're talking about. I'll have you killed or whatever. You know, I don't see why people don't just do this shit. But it's because they believe in their genetic makeup and they're just like, if it's only really mine, you know, that's how the only way I can carry on with my real genetics and shit. Like, fucking bullshit. But Caligula was actually, I would say, more cool in that way where he's just like, I don't give a fuck where the baby come from. Just give me a baby. Oh, and then in the middle of this, he found out his mom and sisters died, or not sisters, his mom and brothers died. Some random dude came up to him and he was just like, yeah, your mom and brothers died. I know you haven't seen them in like forever, but they just died recently. Yeah, you can never find them, but yeah, whatever. And then this is one of those moments where I thought the guy was actually a pretty good actor because the look on his face, like, at first he's just like he's kind of like this, like, oh, but then he like blinks and like closes his mouth, and when he like reopens his eyes, his eyes are like kind of like tearing up. It's really really subtle, but like, and his mouth kind of goes like, but like it's very extremely subtle. But I was like, wow, that's actually pretty like good acting. Like I said, I'm not an expert on the subject, but I just thought that was good. It stood out to me. But anyway, so then they try to say that like there was some point also where they tried to say they said explicitly he was 26 at this point, and they tried to say that like here's some line where he said like I haven't, oh, it was when he moved back in with his sisters. They said he was 26, and he goes like I haven't seen you guys in 10 years. I'm like, no, it was fucking longer than that, because when they showed the when they showed the flashback of him and his mom and brothers being hauled away, his brother was like 16. He was like 7 or 8. Something, he was a little kid. Like, you cannot pass off a 7-year-old as a 16-year-old. That is not possible. Like, that is a huge difference, you know? That that is a huge difference. He was not a teenager at that point. So I don't know what he's fucking talking about. Maybe it's just, you know, shit of the show, you know, being inaccurate or whatnot. But anyways, all that shit aside, what happens next? Right, he marries this pregnant girl, then literally 1 month later, she has a baby. He's like, is it a boy? And they're like, it's a girl. He's like, oh, great, you know, and stuff. But he's really not that happy about it. And they give him the baby, and he's like, hi, little baby, you know, stuff. And then, what happens after that? After that, okay, I think that after that is basically like the kind of it goes into the last episode where, like, he just starts spending all this money. Like, he puts on games like everybody else did. He's just like, yeah, put on some games, entertain people, make them get off my back, blah, 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 you know, and stuff. Everybody's, like, into it. They're like, yes, death, destruction, maiming, we love it. But then he, like, spends too much money. Apparently he built all these fucking statues to himself. All this fucking dumb shit that everybody does. Which they didn't really show, but they just said so. And they said, apparently, he just blew through all this cash. Like, he's fucking in Vegas or something. And he blew through all this cash, and then everybody was broke. The whole entire city was broke. Because he spent all their money on getting high, drunk, and building statues, or whatever. So, the Senate, once again, was like, this is a problem. We better stab him. We better get him out of here. They're like, he's only, what, 28, 27, 28 at this point? What if he lives to be 70? What are we gonna do? We have to stop this, you know, and shit like that. And Gemellus is already dead, so he can't even take over. We have to start from scratch, you know? And, so, so they're, like, freaking out, and then, whatchamacallit, what happens next? I'm trying to fucking remember. It's so hard to remember. What happens next? I know there was something here. I just can't recall. Anyways, oh my god, I'm trying so hard to remember. I don't want to skip straight to the part where he gets stabbed by one person. It was supposed to be like 30 stabs. That's what they said in the other show. The guy was like, he succumbed to over 37 stabs, including stabs through the genitals. I wanted to see that. I wanted to see everybody just surrounding him and stabbing him like recklessly. But no, they didn't do that. Um, what happens? I'm trying to remember. He had the baby in his hands. He started spending a lot of money. Okay, fuck it. I really can't remember. When I put this on, after I go for my walk and I put this on, I'm gonna be like, oh fuck, I forgot so much. But whatever. So yeah, there's some games going on. Oh, I remember. I remember what I was gonna say. This is the part they glossed over the most, which is, I'm assuming this is where all the torture and all the, like, killings and all the crazy, like, shit, oh, Caligula's a monster, he's the mad emperor and all this shit. They really didn't live up to that at all. They did so much to cover that shit up and gloss over it and not speak of it at all, and I was really upset. I mean, not upset, but I was really disappointed. I was just like, I really thought there was gonna be more to this. I really thought I was gonna get to see some, like, awesome bitchhood and see some really fucked up shit from this little motherfucker. I want to see hot guys doing bad things. You know, why not? You know, why the fuck not? But no, they literally skipped over the whole entire thing, and then they're just like, oh, it's the end. You only got 4 episodes. Like, what? I feel like it could have gone on so much longer. But anyways, so because he was broke, they said that also because when Tiberius was killed, or died, whatever, because they can't prove that he killed him. They just did that for the show. He had all these scrolls left behind, like all these scrolls that said like all the people that ever talked shit about him and stuff like that, and all the people he was gonna punish. And then Caligula, when he came to the Senate for the first time, he was like, everybody like me, like, I'm gonna throw all these in the fire, and he threw them all in the fire, because he's like, we're starting fresh, we're starting from scratch, I'm not taking any of the old records anymore, like, fuck that, this is the dawning of a new age, and everything, and everybody's like, yay, Caligula! But then later on, when he, like, ran out of money, and he decided he didn't like the Senate anymore, and he came back and he's like, actually, I copied all the scrolls, so fuck all you guys. Every single one of you that talked bad about me and my uncle, who I didn't even like anyway, and who this show was trying to say creeped on me and possibly touched me, or whatever. Like, you're all going to jail. I'm taking all your money because I'm broke. I need money. Like, I'm just taking all your money. So that was basically all they said about it. They showed a couple people getting, like, executed in the woods, like, getting beheaded on a stump, you know? And, they were just like, yeah, he executed like 10,000 people. It's like, you sure didn't fucking like give any weight to that. You sure just glossed it over, you know? But okay, they showed like 2 people getting beheaded, and then they said, yeah, he killed like 10,000 people or whatever. But they made it seem like it was all rich people. I'm sure he tortured some normal basic ass bitches too. I'm sure he tortured some poor people. I'm sure he did some fucked up shit that they didn't even let me see or hear about because they were too busy being like, this poor little emo boy. Everybody has to feel bad for him. I don't give a fuck how cute of an Italian you get to play this motherfucker. I know he was bad. I just know it. I just know it. Why don't you show him being bad? All these motherfuckers are bad. They all do fucked up shit. But anyways, so yeah, that's it. He just said he killed a bunch of people, a bunch of rich people, and took their money. A bunch of senators, he killed them and took their money. And he exiled a bunch of people and took their money. Trying to make up for the deficit, but he couldn't. It was never enough money because he spent too fucking much. And then, yeah, eventually there was some games. He was going in this underground passage, I think where Commodus almost got killed before. And then he's like walking with his like security guards or whatever. And he run into some people, and he's just like, what? Why are you blocking my path? And then the security guard goes like, ah! And he stabs him like right in the stomach. Only one stab. Not 37 stabs, including stabs through the genitals. Too bad. I didn't get to see that. But anyways, whatever. He gets thrown on the ground, and he's like Caesar. He's like flat in his back, but at least he had one leg kind of bent underneath the other one, so he's not total snow angel pose, but it still could be a little bit more interesting. But whatever. He's laying there on his back with the blood coming out of his mouth and this bloody thing on his like belly. And then it's funny though. It's like honestly pretty fucking hilarious though, because like the guy that stabbed him, like the second the knife comes back out of him, he turns around like fucking like dancer. He gets back on his knees in front of, because Claudius is back there, like walking back Caligula. And he like gets right back down on his knees, and the other two guys go down on their knees in front of Claudius, and they're just like, we pledge everything to Claudius. Claudius is the bomb. Claudius is great. We will do anything for Claudius. Da da da. I will pledge my whole life to him. And you know, I didn't. What are you talking about? I didn't just stab somebody who I worked for. No, like that. I don't even know what you're talking about. There's nobody there. There's nothing there. Long live Claudius. We love him, you know, and everything like that. And then the senators are just like, okay, cool. And then it ends. So that's all I can remember. Okay, bye.